Please welcome Janora Boykins, Board Chair, South Texas College of Law, Houston.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, I am Janora Boykins, and I am privileged to serve as the chair of the Board of South Texas. And on behalf of the entire board, we welcome you to Founders Day 2023. Today we are celebrating the 100th anniversary of the founding of South Texas College of Law, Houston. And what a significant and important milestone for the law school and for the legal community. Thank you so much for being with us this morning to help us honor the past, celebrate the present, and build the future for South Texas. Now, I hope you all were able to get a little breakfast downstairs and maybe take a few pictures. And shameless plug, if you took some pictures, please post them on social media with hashtag STCL100. So we're so blessed to have members of the South Texas community with us today. And if you are a past or current board member, Board of Visitors member, Alumni Association board, please stand so that we can recognize you and acknowledge your important service and leadership. Thank you. We truly appreciate having many friends in the broader community in attendance today as well. Now, if you are an elected official or here representing one, would you please stand and let us recognize you as well? Now, some of you will have the opportunity to stand twice because we're also honored to be joined by a number of members of the judiciary. So that's both state and federal. So I'd like to ask all the judges who are here to stand and be recognized for your service to the legal community. And just as a point of personal privilege, I want to acknowledge my husband, Dwight, who is with me today. He's very supportive of everything I do, and so I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you so much for getting up early and being here this morning. And finally, I just want to personally thank our current and retired faculty, our staff, our adjuncts, our alumni, our supporters, and especially our students. Along with our board, you are the South Texas community. Our law school is turning 100 today, and each of you make this place special. So thank you everyone for helping us to celebrate this historic occasion. Happy Centennial, South Texas, and happy Founders Day.
Please welcome Nathan L. Hecht, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Texas.
Thank you for inviting me to join all of you in this Centennial Founders Day celebration at South Texas College of Law, Houston. From the School of Law's beginnings in a YMCA basement with night classes for working students to this threshold of STCL Houston's inauguration of a part-time online course of study, the beacon has been to provide access to an excellent legal education and preparation for the practice of law for anybody with ability and determination. Today, the Randall O. Sorrells Legal Clinics also offer critical training and outreach for students to work on improving access to justice. South Texas has achieved success by attracting a strong student body, like my current and former colleagues, John Devine, Eva Guzman, and David Medina, for example. Evidence of South Texas contributions to the law is in their opinions lodged in the Southwestern Reporter for years to come. The latest example is from my good friend Paul Reiber, Chief Justice of the Vermont Supreme Court. He emailed me last week to say that while he was not familiar with South Texas College of Law, I mean, he's in Vermont, for goodness sake, from what he'd heard was a stellar performance by Garrett Gray, my 2024 law clerk, in the Prince Moot Court competition in the Brooklyn Law School. Quote, "It must be a very good school," he said, end quote. It is, I said. So your fame is spreading to Vermont. South Texas has achieved success by attracting a strong student body, as well as an outstanding faculty and administration. I'll single out my dear friend Elaine Carlson, who served on the Texas Supreme Court Advisory Committee for 36 years, 2 years longer than I, but she started when she was 12. As the committee's procedural guru, she helped write the discovery and appellate rules and contribute enormously to making Texas practice better. But then there's Rocky Rhodes, who clerked on the Supreme Court when I was a recent arrival, and Jim Paulson, a co-conspirator on all sorts of projects over the years, and I'll just stop there. Those three alone prove my point. And South Texas has achieved success thanks to the constant support of its alums throughout the judiciary and the legal profession, as shown by their constant support for their school and their presence here this morning. I commend STCL Houston for its recent work on diversity. Equity is a virtue, but also a source of division. History might have provided a word of caution in using the word in addressing discrimination if we'd ever thought to listen. For at least a millennium, our legal system has considered equity to be both essential and an instrument of oppression. We can't do without it, but it means opposite things to different people. Take this recent observation, for example. Quote, diversity along with equity and inclusion are deeply rooted American values that embody our founding belief that all people are guaranteed life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. End of quote. That statement did not come from the ACLU on the left, as you might expect, but from the conservative Texas Public Policy Foundation. But its view is that equity has been hijacked by other agendas, as critics of equity have feared for centuries about all sorts of issues in all sorts of time periods, while others see equity as necessary to right long-standing wrongs. Amidst those divisions, the Benny Augusto Jr. Diversity Center can help steer a high and right course. Thanks, Benny, for that contribution to the school. STCL's Houston's crown jewel has been its advocacy programs, which caught Chief Justice Reiber's attention. Advocacy is the common law's process for finding truth, as distinct from inquiry in the civil law. Advocacy's goal is persuasion, an increasingly foreign concept in our divided world. Remember when you used to sit down and reason with someone until you persuaded or were persuaded, or found a good way forward? Seems like a long time ago. A rarity in the rant of social media, the press, and Lord help us, politics. Deepening divisions in public views of judicial decisions are leading to destructive criticism of the judiciary and the justice system and undermine the integrity of the rule of law. The public must be shown, must be persuaded that the justice system is fair and that judicial independence is essential to preserving the promise of justice for all. Learning effective advocacy is key. STCL Houston is widely regarded as the best teacher of advocacy in the nation. This celebration is well-deserved. On behalf of the Supreme Court of Texas, I offer congratulations to STCL Houston on 100 years of accomplishment and best wishes for the next 100 years.
Please welcome Laura Gibson, President of the State Bar of Texas.
Thank you. My name's Laura Gibson. I'm the 142nd President of the State Bar of Texas and only the 8th woman to hold this honor. I represent 111,000 lawyers in the state of Texas, and we are here to celebrate South Texas College of Law 100 years of education. Thank you, Dean Berry, for inviting me to make remarks. Now, the mission of the State Bar of Texas is to support the administration of the legal system, assure all of our citizens equal access to justice, foster high standards of ethical conduct for lawyers, enable its members to better serve their clients and the public, educate the public about the rule of law, and promote diversity in the administration of justice and the practice of law. In pursuit of this mission, the State Bar has a tremendous partner in South Texas College of Law. Over the past century, South Texas College of Law has developed a well-earned reputation for excellence in legal education. Your graduates are known for their professionalism and their capability. Many go on to high levels of service in the legal profession, in business, in government service, in Texas, and throughout the nation. Justice Hecht and I did not collaborate on our remarks. I won't tell you about the 3 justices of the Texas Supreme Court who are your graduates because you've already heard about them. Your graduates are also committed to local bar leadership and to state bar leadership. I have the great privilege of being friends with Randy Sorrells, the HBA president from 2005 to 2006, and Benny Augusto, the HBA president from 2019 to 2020. I had the honor and privilege of serving with both of them on the board of directors of the HBA, and it was Randy who called me to let me know I was elected to the board. On the state level, in the 6 of the last presidents, you guys get 50% of South Texas graduates, which is unparalleled. In addition to Randy, who graduated from South Texas College of Law in 1987, he served as the president of the State Bar from 2019 to 2020. He didn't get a president's party, so I'm going to invite him to share my president's party in June in Austin because he was the pandemic president. As Nathan Hecht has told you, Randy created an opportunity for South Texas's legal clinics to expand through a generous donation that would allow the clinics to be housed within the law school walls. Randy saw a need for access to justice that wasn't being met, and he seized the opportunity to help. Today, as you know, the legal clinics bear his name. South Texas College of Law also has excellent professors, and the same 3 that Justice Hecht are the 3 I would mention. First, because I started my legal career at Liddell Sapp with Jim Paulson. Second, because I needed Elaine Carlson, and she's so well renowned for her excellence in procedure. And when she was too busy to help me, she referred me to Charles Rocky Rhodes, who is currently assisting me on a multi-million-dollar assignment. He's grading papers and working on something on my case, which is why he's not here today. And then we've talked about the fact that your college does an excellent job in promoting diversity. I applaud the establishment of the Benny Augusto Jr. Diversity Center, which bears the name of your alum, with as I understand, the most generous contribution dedicated to diversity. And lest you think that we don't need further commitment to diversity, one of my presidential columns was devoted to diversity, and I got no less than 30 pieces of hate mail telling me it wasn't necessary. So double down when you get news like that, and thank you, Benny and Nikki, for the financial gift that they've given to South Texas College of Law to provide a home for the Diversity Center, support for diversity scholarships, and the ability for South Texas to develop additional diversity programming aimed at the legal profession. And given the fact that I'm only the 8th woman president of the State Bar of Texas, we need to promote diversity. You are one of the most diverse law students in the country, in the most diverse city in our nation. South Texas is regularly recognized as the best school for diverse students. Your students represent a broad spectrum of ages, races, ethnicities, interests, and personal and professional backgrounds. By providing them a top-notch legal education and equipping them for their life as a lawyer, you're helping Texas move closer to the day our profession will fully reflect the rich diversity of our state. In closing, the Texas legal community and the state as a whole would be a much less vibrant place without the meaningful contributions of STCL Houston, its faculty, staff, and its students, past and present. On behalf of the State Bar of Texas, congratulations to the incredible legacy that you have built. I had no idea that South Texas was over 100 years. My alma mater was in a basement in MD Anderson in '56. So it's much younger, and the achievements that your school has reached are unparalleled, unprecedented, but I hope they continue in the future. Congratulations.
Please enjoy a video message from John Cornyn, Senator of the United States Senate.
Hi, I'm Texas Senator John Cornyn. Congratulations to the South Texas College of Law Houston on 100 years of legal excellence. As the oldest law school in Southeast Texas, STCL Houston was founded by some of the city's foremost business and legal leaders who made quality legal education accessible for working students. Since then, you've trained some of the best litigators, advocates, negotiators, and transactional lawyers in the state and nation. Thank you for creating life-changing opportunities in the legal profession for thousands of practice-ready graduates. Here's to another century of excellence, and I hope you enjoy today's celebration.
Please enjoy a video message from Ted Cruz, Senator of the United States Senate.
Good morning, and welcome to South Texas College of Law's Centennial Founders Day. Although I couldn't be with you in person today, I want to thank President Michael Berry for the very kind invitation to attend this celebration and to congratulate you on this historic occasion. For 100 years, South Texas College of Law has been providing excellent legal education to full-time students and to working professionals, and over that time has shaped and sharpened the minds of over 16,000 graduates dedicated to excellence. As a result, South Texas College of Law has an incredible network of alumni made up of some of the best litigators, advocates, and negotiators in the country. These lawyers have gone on to exercise significant influence over the state and the nation, with many holding elected and appointed offices all throughout Texas. I'm confident that South Texas College of Law will continue to produce outstanding attorneys for many more years to come. Under the strong leadership of President Berry and the Board of Directors, you will carry on the fine tradition of educating legal professionals for Texas and our nation. Congratulations on this momentous occasion. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless South Texas College of Law on its 100th anniversary.
Representative Sheila Jackson Lee sends her kind regards and congressional recognition of the South Texas Centennial. Please enjoy a video message from Greg Abbott, Governor of the State of Texas.
Hi, this is Governor Greg Abbott. Today, we congratulate the South Texas College of Law in Houston for its ongoing commitment to excellence since it was founded 100 years ago. This historic milestone would not be possible without the intelligent, hardworking educators and students that are passionate about upholding the laws that govern our nation. The state of Texas is proud to recognize the contributions that South Texas College of Law has made by providing an outstanding legal education that has produced quality graduates. As we look back over the past 100 years of legal success in Texas, we can look forward to the next 100 with great optimism, assured that our state's institutions are generating some of the country's best litigators, advocates, negotiators, and transactional lawyers. May God bless you in your endeavors, and may God forever bless the great state of Texas.
Please enjoy a video message from Ann Johnson, representative of the Texas House of Representatives.
Good morning. I am a grateful graduate of South Texas College of Law. My dad went to the school when it was in the basement of the YMCA. My mom went to South Texas a little bit later in life. And what I love about South Texas is that through 100 years, it has given everybody an opportunity to stand in the wall of a courtroom and speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. I'm reminded of the day I was walking down the hallway and said something about getting appointed on a case where a 13-year-old little girl was charged with prostitution. And it was Professor Moore and Dean Burnett that turned to me and said, "You gotta fix it." It was because of the countless hours of working with South Texas advocacy and the strength to know that I not only had to do it, but could do it because of the training at South Texas, that years later, the Texas Supreme Court, for the first time in our nation's history, said that children are victims of human trafficking. They are not offenders of prostitution. I will forever be grateful to this institution and this college, and forever grateful for the future litigants that you will continue to put out to serve the best interest of all Texans.
Please welcome Robert Gallegos, City Councilman of District 1, City of Houston.
Good morning. I'm proud to be here at South Texas College of Law, here in District I. So proud to have the college here in District I. Also, before I start, I'd like to recognize Gladys R. Goffney, who was recognized this past Tuesday at public session with a mayoral proclamation, and she's an alum here at South Texas College of Law. I know I saw her this morning. I don't know if she's still here in the audience, but congratulations once again. I also would like to congratulate Benny Agosto Jr. For everything he has done here at the college regarding the Diversity Center and everything that he does out in the community as well. So thank you for everything you do. What a joy to be with you this morning to celebrate this tremendous milestone. For 100 years, the school has prepared generations for the legal profession and equipped them for successful careers filled with meaning and purpose. It has taught students to be leaders through inspired teaching, scholarly discovery, ethical advocacy, and generous public service. It has produced sharp, analytical minds and creative, effective leaders, some of the top attorneys, litigators, judges, appointed and elected officials. I know with the leadership of President and Dean Michael Berry, the dedicated faculty and ongoing alumni support, this school will continue to attract the highest caliber of students from all backgrounds and produce top law professionals for many more years. So on behalf of the City of Houston, I am honored to join you this morning in celebrating this important day. My sincere thanks to each of you, and especially to President and Dean Berry for your invitation and warm welcome. I also would like to present a certificate of recognition.
Hello, I'm Brad Tobin, the Dean of Baylor.
I would also like to present this certificate of recognition for my office to South Texas College of Law Centennial Celebration. Since 1923, the iconic South Texas College of Law Houston has educated leaders in the legal profession, including Texas Supreme Court justices, litigators, judges, corporate counsels, public interest attorneys, with an impact of legal excellence in our Houston community. And I congratulate you on your centennial and many more years to follow. Signed today on April 13th, 2023. So once again, congratulations.
Please welcome Rodney Ellis, Commissioner of Harris County Commissioners Court.
May it please the court. or maybe I should say the courts, because South Texas is known for creating some outstanding jurists. It's so good to see my friend, the Chief Justice, here. Janora, I'm so proud of you. When I look at the program, Councilmember Gallegos, the Congresswoman, our members of the United States Senate, Benny, diversity is alive and well in this region. And instead of my prepared remarks, I was just so moved, both by you and Laura as well, Mr. Chief Justice, making reference to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm so glad to be at a university where you will not lose your state funding when you talk about it, Dean. The reality is, only Rodney would say it. I learned a long time ago, Mr. Chief Justice, you never know what people would do with power until they get it. And I'm so proud of this school because you have produced graduates who end up in power and use it to help other people. And that means, Dean, you have to teach them to speak truth to power. It was so interesting, Chief Justice Heck, when you made reference to this great law school starting in the basement of a Y. If you don't know our history in this country, the history of YMCAs and YWCAs comes out of the United Kingdom tradition of settlement houses. And I was just thinking what was going on in 1923. I'm going to go to what was a black settlement house over in Fifth Ward, 10 minutes from here, at about 1 o'clock today, to have a dedication of a mural for the 80th anniversary of the Hester House. Because when settlement houses started in Great England, in Austria, in this country, by and large, it was during an era of segregation. But we've grown beyond that. We're blessed in this state to be probably, I think, the fourth minority state in the country, for whatever that means. I always tell people the first one was Hawaii, always was majority minority. Robert Gallegos, the second one was California. The third one was New Mexico, of all places. Don't have 50 black people, I know all of them. It was not an African American thing, it was a Native American population, the Hispanic population that constituted that being the third majority minority non-white state in the country. Texas is the fourth. We have to embrace our diversity. It's so outstanding and wonderful that this law school is downtown in the heart of everything. I have a resolution, I won't read it, I just want to present it to you, Dean. This is on behalf of Judge Lena Hidalgo, Commissioner Ramsey, Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Briones, and the one black one. Think of how far we have come to have 3 Hispanics on the governing board of our county and be able to operate, for the most part, getting along. Diversity is such an important part of what we do. And I'm so glad it's part of what you teach your students. So on behalf of all of us, a grateful city, as the council member said, state, nation, and county, congratulations to South Texas School of Law 100 years later.
Please welcome Jennifer Walker Elrod, Judge of the U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals.
He's late again.
Friends, faculty, honored dignitaries, Dean Barry, board members, and students and members of this wonderful community. It is fabulous to see you out today for this birthday party anniversary. I know that every member of the legal community here is delighted to join in celebrating 100th birthday of South Texas College of Law, Houston. It is especially close to my heart, though, because I am blessed to have the opportunity to teach civil procedure to 83 students this semester while serving at South Texas's Jurist in Residence. And some of my students are here today. Raise your hand if you were one of my students. Before I began teaching at this fine institution, I had the privilege of getting to know South Texas students because they frequently serve as interns in my chambers. I have had the privilege of having Taylor Ledger and Maha Gaius, Eric Williams has come, and he's coming back as my first law clerk from the South Texas College of Law. And I am also very privileged to have a professor in residence in my chambers right now, Professor Catherine Vicodin, as part of her research sabbatical. She's studying legal writing in judicial chambers, and she's helping me improve my writing, as Judge Robert Schaefer reminded was probably a good thing. So she visited his chambers too. I want to take a brief moment to look at the storied history of this school. The institution has a long tradition of excellence, and that is what has paved the way for it to be the law school we know and love today. Two things from its history. South Texas opened the door 100 years ago. Remarkably, for a law school in 1923, its inaugural class was comprised of both men and women who were eager to join the legal profession. 34 students enrolled, 5 of whom were women. By comparison, Harvard Law School did not admit women until 1950. That's over a quarter of a century behind the South Texas College of Law. Part of what made South Texas special was its evening classes. Those allowed working professionals and others to overcome cost and other barriers and study the law while earning an income. South Texas continues to offer evening classes and now even has an online program. South Texas's leadership in this area has profoundly impacted our community. Including women in the legal profession is not just a matter of equality and justice. Having diverse lawyers, as we've already heard today at some length from really better speakers than I am, helps provide well-rounded representation to clients, and it creates role models for the next generation of aspiring legal professionals, those students of mine here in this room. So thank you, South Texas. The other thing I wanted to note about the history of South Texas is how rich the tapestry of life can be sometimes. Whenever I was asked to be the jurist in residence, I did not realize that I am not the first judge on the Fifth Circuit to have been a part of South Texas's history. On my court, I serve on seat 4. Which was established in 1930. The first judge to hold this seat was Joseph Chappell Hutchison, Jr., a lawyer from Houston. Hutchison was a true Houston leader. He was the city's chief legal advisor and then our mayor. In 1918, he became a federal district judge for the Southern District of Texas. And in 1931, he was confirmed to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Most importantly, perhaps, Hutchison was South Texas's first dean, a role he served while he was serving as a district judge. Having a sitting judge as the first dean of a law school is emblematic of the practical education that South Texas excels at delivering. South Texas's lawyers come ready to be in the courtroom and thrived. The experienced lawyers and judges on the faculty help South Texas and alumni help South Texas avoid becoming detached from the legal profession. Judge Hutchison was able to bring his real-world knowledge to those first classes of students, and this defined a culture that thrives today. Students and faculty here have an understanding of the practical importance of having ethical standards and maintaining a growth mindset. These are the lessons that I see imparted at this wonderful institution every day. I am proud to carry on in the model set by Judge Hutchison and prior jurist in residence, Judge Gerald Choflat of the 11th Circuit and also formerly of the 5th Circuit. The community and judicial support for Houston's oldest law school is unique, and it is an honor to be a part of it. Turning briefly to the present. Two of the hallmarks of this law school are its outstanding mock trial and moot court programs. We've already heard about South Texas advocacy today. This year, I have mooted talented students for their moot court competitions and have served as a judge for South Texas's national mock trial competition, which brings talented students from all over the country. And I have seen the way that those opportunities have provided the students I teach, who served as witnesses in those trials, with invaluable experiences and has prepared them for the real-world challenges of the legal practice. And I have seen some very talented advocates in my courtroom who have come from South Texas College of Law, including Benny Augusto and Randy Sorrells, just to name a couple who are on the tip of my tongue today. What truly sets this law school apart, however, is the intellectual curiosity of the students. I am constantly amazed by the level of engagement, passion, and critical thinking that our students bring to the classroom. Their eagerness to learn, explore complex issues, and engage in meaningful discussions is inspiring. And it comes from the terrific faculty that you have at this institution. Their unwavering commitment to excellence is unprepared. They are not only legal experts, they are caring mentors who spend hundreds of hours counseling and encouraging your students every day. Furthermore, South Texas has fostered a climate of mutual respect for people with different viewpoints. We've talked a lot about diversity today. South Texas also models intellectual diversity. This is all the more rare in today's law schools. In an era of polarization and divisiveness, South Texas stands out as a beacon of inclusivity and intellectual and other diversity. People from different backgrounds come together to engage in respectful and meaningful conversations. They embrace the richness that their different ideas and expressions bring to the legal profession. And they like each other. They hang out with each other. They respect each other, and they cheer for each other. In my class, for example, we all announce if anything good has happened to us that week. And students clap if someone's gotten a job or won an award, and they help each other if they're feeling discouraged. It's a tremendous community. In class, I encourage my students to discuss pressing issues of the day. We have covered free speech on campus and how judges decide controversial cases. These students always handle these difficult issues with care in a climate of mutual respect that they have created that has been modeled by your faculty and your dean. I extend my deepest appreciation to the South Texas College of Law for providing its students with an unparalleled legal education and for shaping every member of this community into the legal professionals that you are today. Here's to the next 100 years of excellence, innovation, and impact. Happy Founders Day. Thank you.
Please welcome Betty Bali Torres, Director of the Texas Access to Justice Foundation.
Well, good morning, everybody, and I share in the congratulations to South Texas College of Law, Houston, as it celebrates its centennial. The Texas Access to Justice Foundation has been around significantly less time, having been created by the Supreme Court in the late 80s. But when we gave our first grants in 1992, South Texas College of Law Houston received a grant. And it has received a grant every single year since that time. And there's some really good reasons for that, and I'm going to share some with you. The foundation funds 35 programs statewide which provide legal services to the poor. And where South Texas fits in is really in its clinical programs. It is a good investment. Now, South Texas College of Law is part of the safety net of this community. It doesn't just provide general legal services, it also provides very specific legal services in critical areas such as families facing evictions, opioid use disorder, veterans needing help, and as we've heard, this is the most diverse city in the country. It serves immigrants. A key component to their effectiveness is that they work in partnership with their colleagues and other legal aid providers and social services programs in this community. They are not in a silo. They are meeting clients where they are at. For the first time ever, our board adopted a resolution thanking a law school, and that law school was South Texas College of Law. And it goes back to the conversation that we've had today about diversity. And that resolution was thanking Benny Agosto and Nikki, as well. I need to always remember Nikki, and thanking them for providing really the necessary support to ensure that there is diversity in this school and ultimately in their alumni. So South Texas College of Law and the Randy Searles clinics, what do? Last year, they served almost 3,000 families in this community. They have been on the front lines of the eviction crisis in this country. They provided services to last year, to over 1,500 families facing evictions. And what's truly remarkable about that is that 85% received full representation. That means somebody went to court. That means a student went to court to represent these families. It's a remarkable number. And so it is no surprise to us at the foundation that South Texas has the remarkable distinction of being the recipient of the Access to Justice Law School Commitment to Service Award 4 times in 11 years. Think about that, 4 times in 11 years. So I want to end by telling you a story of a client who was served by this institution, by the students, supervised by the faculty. Pamela was battling terminal cancer, was in need of settling her affairs right away in light of her expected passing. She decided to discontinue treatment because the cancer had spread and chemo and radiation were no longer going to be effective. And because she was poor, there really were no other pathways for treatment for her. So she came to the clinic, and she was anxious, overwhelmed, and what she wanted was to be able to leave her homestead to her daughter. And there were several issues with that. First of all, she wasn't sure she really owned the homestead. And she sat with a student, and the student, supervised by faculty, did the necessary research, and they figured out she did own the homestead. Not only did she own the homestead, they were able to, and that was huge relief. In these clinics, that woman sat here and cried, greatly relieved to know that she owned her home. Not only did she own her home, but the student and faculty were able to help her fill out all the necessary documents so that she would be able to leave it to her daughter when she passed. That's what this institution does. It helps the community with real-life problems, and the foundation is proud of our partnership. We look forward to another 100 years. Thank you.
Please enjoy a video message from Bradley J.B. Tobin, Dean, Baylor Law.
Hello, I'm Brad Tobin, the Dean of Baylor Law School, and I come today to send you greetings on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of South Texas College of Law. I commend the entire South Texas College of Law community for your dedication to service. Service is a powerful theme that runs through our program at Baylor, and I know that it runs through your program as well. It is part of the fabric of why you go into the classrooms, the courtrooms each day to prepare the next generation of lawyers to go out there with serving hearts and to make a difference in being stewards of the rule of law and upholding the standards of our justice system. South Texas College of Law is a great institution, and I think it's very fitting that today you are celebrating its 100th anniversary of establishment. I am proud to be a part of the legal community in Texas, and I am especially proud of the fact that as I look around at the community of lawyers in Texas, that we are blessed with the talents and the expertise and the experience of South Texas College of Law lawyers. Enjoy the day. Thank you.
Please welcome Bob Harvey, President and CEO of Greater Houston Partnership.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm not an attorney. I have to tell you a little story. In the late 70s, I applied to Harvard Law and Harvard Business, and for reasons I won't go into, I was really confident I would get into Harvard Law. And I didn't. And I always assumed that the slot for a Houstonian must have gone to someone else. And I always hoped that that someone else did something with that Harvard Law degree. So Mayor Turner, I am so glad you have succeeded in your career. Thank you. I must say, in my role at the partnership, I've enjoyed getting to know Michael Berry. I've enjoyed watching the progress of this law school. Before we talked about diversity in Houston and learned to celebrate diversity, and before we started recognizing that diversity without inclusion is just a demographic statistic, nothing to be proud of, and before we recognized that without conscious effort around equity, that we weren't going to see advancement across this diverse and inclusive community. Before all of that, we talked about the fact that Houston was a city known for opportunity. I'll go back to that word, opportunity. The opportunity to make a future for oneself through hard work and perseverance, and the opportunity to find a way to make a personal contribution to the great city we call Houston. And to me, South Texas represents all that Houston stands for. Now, some of South Texas graduates have served on the partnership board, representing some of the great law firms in Houston or some of the great companies. Some of your students come in right out of undergrad, I know, but I like to think of South Texas as a place where an early or mid-career Houstonian could decide to pursue a law degree even while they continue to work part-time or full-time. The first South Texas graduates I met was as a McKinsey consultant, and I'll mention a couple of names, I thought one of whom might be here. In 1982, two South Texas grads ran Houston Lighting and Power, Don Jordan and Don Sikora. Both of them had come up on the customer service side of the old HL&P, and they realized to compete with the engineers and accountants that had always run the company, they needed an extra tool in their toolkit. And so they both came to South Texas, both graduated in '69. And Don Jordan and Don Sikora were just an extraordinary couple of leaders, not just for what they did for Houston Lighting and Power. If you know Don Jordan, you probably think of him as Mr. Houston Rodeo as much as Houston Lighting and Power. And both of them were just great citizens of this city. So I really attribute that both to their decision to go to South Texas, but what they gained at South Texas. They were both very proud of those South Texas law degrees. So let me just say this. You know, Houston is truly blessed to have this institution here in Houston, here downtown, as has been mentioned. It obviously benefits the students and the graduates of this institution, but it really greatly benefits this community broadly. And for that, I thank you very much. I think for all that you've made this institution. I look forward, maybe not for the entire next 100 years, I won't be here, but I look forward to the coming decades. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Sylvester Turner, Mayor of the City of Houston.
I have the pleasure of following Bob Harvey, and Bob, I didn't take that seat. I mean, look, let me just say I'm honored to be here. Chief Justice Heck, it's always good to see you. Janora Borkin, good to see you as well. And the Dean, Michael F. Berry. Let me put that F in there because it's another Berry, but Michael F. Berry. And then, of course, Councilmember Robert Gage, it's good to be with you and all of you. I wanted to be here, and I will tell you, this is the second speech, third that I'm giving this morning, stitches and all. It's the first time out since a procedure on Tuesday. But I said to my doc, you know, stitch me up. I didn't want to miss being here at South Texas 100th celebration. Look, as the mayor of the city of Houston, I certainly want to thank this law school for producing over 16,000 students who are now lawyers, not just serving in the Houston community, but throughout the country. I've had the privilege of working beside South Texas lawyers, and South Texas produces some excellent, outstanding lawyers. And I know South Texas produces some excellent litigators. I've worked alongside of them. When I was at Fulbright and Jaworski, I worked on the opposite side of them. And they are good lawyers. Some are damn good. But that's a credit to this community. I cannot thank the business community and other legal scholars enough back in 1923 when they started this law school. And this law school has produced a lot of people who have added to this community in very positive ways. And then I've had the privilege of working with some of the students that were in the law school at the time who came and worked at the law firm where I was a partner. And they have represented this school exceptionally well. And especially I want to acknowledge those students who came from communities that were underserved and under-resourced. Students like the ones I just got through talking to, who were on the margins of life, who came from backgrounds where there were no lawyers, and there were no business leaders or doctors or architects or engineers. But they came through South Texas, and now they are doing extremely well, which says to me, if we teach them, they can learn and they can produce. And South Texas has taken students from all social economic backgrounds and have turned them into very productive individuals who are taking care of their families and so many others. I certainly don't want to sit down without specifically acknowledging Janora Borkins, because she's the first African-American, I believe the first woman, to chair the board of directors at South Texas College of Law. Diversity can mean many things, but one thing I do know, you can be diverse, separate, segregated, and apart. The question is, can we be diverse and inclusive all at the same time? And when it is demonstrated, it goes a very long way. So to Janora, congratulations for your achievement, to South Texas as a whole. And let me do this. If I can ask the Dean, Michael F. Berry, to come forward. Dean, I'm not going to read everything that's in this proclamation, but it does say that South Texas College of Law, whereas this law school was established in 1923 by Houston's foremost business leaders and legal minds to train attorneys who would be prepared to address the pressing needs of an expanding local economy and a rapidly growing city. And whereas South Texas College of Law Houston continues to abide by its mission to provide a diverse body of students with an opportunity to obtain an exceptional legal education. And let me just say this, this school will match any school anywhere in the country. I'm a Harvard Law School grad, but let me tell you, this school, South Texas College of Law, has outstanding professors and outstanding students who are producing students that will rival any school anywhere in the country. And whereas the relentless dedication of faculty, staff, students, alumni, and leadership at South Texas College of Law Houston has resulted in a thriving century-old organization that embraces diversity, encourages service, and creates life-changing opportunities for its graduates. And whereas South Texas College of Law Houston is an award-winning, vital institution in the region's legal landscape, producing practice-ready graduates who join a 16,000-strong cadre of alumni dedicated to legal excellence and charting the path to the future of profession. And whereas the City of Houston recognizes the value to the community of this innovative and highly acclaimed law school, therefore I, Sylvester Turner, Mayor of the City of Houston, hereby proudly proclaim April 13, 2023 as South Texas College of Law Houston Day in a Centennial celebration. Congratulations, Dean. Congratulations to South Texas. Thank you all so very, very much.
Please welcome Stephen Ives, President and CEO of the YMCA of Greater Houston.
Good morning. How is everybody? My throat's a little toasty because I've been spending the last week with 1,500 of my colleagues from across the country and across the world here in Houston celebrating the good work of the YMCA. Amongst those 1,500 participants, there's some people I've gotten to know over the years. Been in the Y 37 years, not 100, but 37. And amongst those participants are several people who I had the privilege of being in a mentoring relationship with. A few are CEOs of YMCAs. One is the first female CEO of the YMCA in Madurai, India, and the only female CEO of a YMCA in India. And I've got to have just the joy of watching them celebrate their good work and what they've done. I imagine that in 1923, the board of directors of the Y, there people have talked about business leaders. Well, the business leaders, some of whom were members of the board of directors of the YMCA, saw that in their mission statement it said, strengthen spirit, mind, and body for all. And recognized that some people don't have access to the legal profession. And so our job in the YMCA then is to do something about that. And thus, the school was formed and birthed, if you will, with the YMCA, but it was the beginning of a mentoring relationship, I think. One person who I hold very dearly once shared with me that if you're going to be a mentor, you have to understand it starts here, welcoming someone in, showing them the way. And then there are times when you're lifting them up. There's sometimes you're carrying them, and then after a while, you're standing next to them with your arm around them. Ultimately, if you've been successful, you're looking up and you're applauding the good work that they've done. I think this board of directors in 1923 was welcoming me in, weren't they? Along the years, there came times where the YMCA urged on and helped this organization become something. We're in the business of strengthening the foundations of community, and what that means is making access to opportunity happen for all. I love the dialogue around diversity. I love the reference to inclusion. And I think that these folks that were part of this board in 1923 would be very proud to be able to join me and the current board of directors in looking up and applauding the South Texas College of Law for the great work that you've done and for your 100 years of service and the many stories we've heard today. So on behalf of the original mentors of this institution that got us started, and on behalf of the current board of directors, we're just so proud to know that many things have come to birth in this community that have become great institutions, and we can partner with them for good work going forward. And I want to express my gratitude for the friendship I've been able to develop with Dean Barry, being part of American Leadership Forum, spending time in the wilderness, and also spending time learning about adaptive leadership and learning about how we apply that to our work. It's great gratitude for you for allowing me to be here and be part of this. And I celebrate on behalf of all of the volunteers of the Y, the staff and the volunteers of the current YMCA, the great work that you've done and your centennial. Thank you.
Please welcome David Ullman, partner at Vinson & Elkins and member of the South Texas Board of Visitors.
Good morning, everybody. And, you know, Darcy Douglas asked me a month or so ago to do this, and I've kind of got a bone to pick with her because she didn't tell me how many people would be here, and she didn't tell me how many big shots I'd be speaking after. Darcy, is it too late to switch this out? Okay. Thank everyone for being here today to celebrate the 100th anniversary. My name is Dave Ullman. On behalf of the South Texas Board of Visitors and my family, happy Founders Day. I say my family because my great uncle was Judge Joseph Chappell Hutchison, the founder of this law school and its first dean, and I want to recognize Chap Hutchison, who's one of his other descendants, who's right over here. Judge Hutchison Judge Hutchison had a long record of public service, and after he graduated from law school at UT in 1900, he was #1 in his class. I don't know how big the class was, though. I'm assuming it's more than one. And then he practiced his law with his dad for over probably 17 years over on Main Street. I think the firm was called Hutchison, Carrington, and Hutchison. And you know, at some point he's like, you know, hanging out with Dad is great, but I got to do something different. So he decides to run for mayor, and I wonder if Sylvester had this experience, but his dad had been a U.S. congressman and a state rep. And so they're going around and he's running for office, and the not yet judge, the candidate, would go into the bar and he'd order something called sassafragia, which I guess is like sassafras or root beer. And after a couple bars, his dad looks at him and says, "Son, you cannot just order that. You just cannot run for mayor unless you order a beer." So I guess he started ordering beer, and he was elected mayor of Houston, but he didn't stay there long because a guy named Woodrow Wilson said, "Listen, hey, we need somebody on the Southern District Court." And he said, "Okay, I'll do that. I don't like drinking all that beer. I'd rather be a judge." And then a few years later, fast forwarding, a guy named Herbert Hoover said, "Hey, we need somebody to serve on the Fifth Circuit." And so he goes to the Fifth Circuit, and he eventually serves as Chief Justice there. He had some hobbies. One of them was he served on the Anglo-American Commission for the Settlement of Jews in Palestine after World War II, which was a pretty important thing. In addition, he served as founding dean of South Texas, not because it was his day job, and he wasn't paid for doing this. I mean, he had a day job. He probably had a night job. He was a busy guy, but he had this idea that, like, you know, this makes sense to me. We should do this. I am recently connected to South Texas. When this family connection to the law school was shared with me, I was pretty intrigued. I started looking around V&E's offices, and I guess I'm the only legal employer that's speaking this morning, but I was looking around our offices and kind of saying, gosh, I wonder how many of our many lawyers went to South Texas. It's a lot. And many of, as others have said, many of our most talented attorneys are South Texas graduates. Our youngest associate, from our youngest associates to one of the best energy litigators in the country, his name is Jim Thompson. Jim, do you happen to be here? Well, he's been on the management committee with me for a long time. And, you know, Jim and I would both tell you that we'll take a hardworking, roll-up-your-sleeve South Texas graduate, no offense, Mayor, over a soft-working Ivy League law school graduate every time. After joining the South Texas Board of Visitors, I learned about why South Texas was founded, why Judge Hutchinson and other leaders of Houston at that time pursued this novel idea 100 years ago. South Texas's origin story is dramatically different than any law school that I know anything about. What was the big idea? The big idea was to provide legal education to working men and women who wanted to become lawyers, not to the extremely few people with sufficient means to go to college and more established law schools. How novel was this idea? This was, to me, mind-blowingly novel when it comes to education in this country. Why? Why is it so shocking? In 1920, only 17% of Americans completed high school. Now that number is almost 90%. But guess what, folks? Only 3% of Americans completed college. 3%. About 40% do now. I mean, you're talking about higher education, which was extremely, extremely rare. And you're saying, well, golly, why does it need to be so rare? We got hardworking men and women in our growing cities, and maybe they want to learn how to do something else. And you know, it's really in our best interest to provide this education so our city can grow and be successful. Then, and especially now, and I want to emphasize the women part of this, and this was also brought up, but like when you look at those numbers for college and law school, and you said, well, what percentage of the U.S. population were women who were in college? I mean, it's so small you can't even see it, right? So the college where I went became co-ed in 1974. It was an Ivy League school. I mean, this is unbelievable. This school was, well, the point I'm trying to make is this school was foundationally inclusive over a century before every law school in this country started talking about how inclusive it is, right? This law school was born different. 100 years. Why did this school's founders do this? They did it because they believed it was vital to make Houston the city it is today, which I can assure you was no sure thing. What Houston became was no sure thing. Think about this. Spindletop came in 1901, biggest oil well ever produced in this world, halfway between us and New Orleans, halfway between Houston and New Orleans. In the early 1920s, Houston had a population of mere 140,000 people, which was actually astonishing growth from when my first ancestors got here. And we had an important but very small port, and we had a bunch of startup oil companies, okay? In contrast, New Orleans was founded in 1714. 1714. It had a population of 400,000 people. It had a much larger natural port, and it had a far more developed business, and as well as banking institutions. New Orleans was a financial center. Which city would you have picked in 1920 to win the race to be the energy capital of the world? Which one would you have picked? Man, I mean, if you had bet on Houston, you probably would have made some money because the odds were long. The odds were long. But South Texas and other institutions created at the time made what we take entirely for granted today, where we are, entirely possible. I want to recognize my aunt, Joanne Hutchison Seal Wilson. She's on camera. She's up in Washington, D.C. She was Judge Hutchison's granddaughter. She lived with Judge Hutchison during World War II. She provided a lot of information. This is my dear Aunt Joanne with her grandpa, who she lived with during World War II, and she's quite a historian. and she shared with me a lot of the information that I've got now, and I'm so thankful for it, so thank you, Joanne. And as cool as we think what this was, this story I'm telling you about, Judge, it wasn't like, well, I'm this singular person that has this idea and I'm going to do this good. No, there were more people involved in that. There's representatives of the town's Pressler family here today, and you can stand up so we can acknowledge you. That's Thomas Smith and Towns Pressler Jr. Well, so why are they here? Because the third dean was a guy named E.E. Towns. So who was E.E. Towns? I'll tell you who E.E. Towns was. He was the general counsel of Humble Oil, a key player in the birth of Texas oil industry and a foundational part of the company that is Exxon. Okay, basically this guy is the GC of Exxon. Okay? And he was also dean of this law school for 26 years. He wasn't paid to be dean of this law school for that period of time. This gets a little more interesting, and it shows you how important education has been to our state. E.E. Towns' father was the founding dean of University of Texas Law School. If you go to UT Law, where do you go? Towns Hall, right? E.E. Towns learned from his dad that providing education was probably a pretty cool thing. And that Towns had my relative Judge Hutchison as well as my great-granddad as students in the very early 1900s. To make things even more harmonic convergency, Judge Hutchison's father and my great-great-grandfather wrote the bills founding the University of Texas and Prairie View A&M in the 1880s at the same time. And what I learned from all these people, all of them were lawyers, they cared about education, not just for themselves, for other people a lot, and indirectly and directly, this state, this city, and we are the beneficiaries. I'll give you a little snapshot of what Houston was like for like this long ago. It is hard to imagine Judge Hutchison being born in a house where the Esperson building stands, where he lived with 8 siblings and his mother died in childbirth. It is hard to imagine him coming of age in a home on what is now Discovery Green, next door. It's hard to imagine that of his 11 siblings, only 6 of them would survive to become adults and have their own children. And that was not uncommon. That was not uncommon. It's hard to imagine that one of his brothers went to Nanking, China in 1908 to set up an American hospital and spent several decades with his family there. It's hard to imagine that my great-granddad, his younger brother, volunteered for World War I at the age of 30. He had a wife and kids. He was not going to be drafted. And he went anyway, and it was, like no one wanted to go to Argonne and muse Argonne and Sammy Help. I mean, what people did. After returning from the war, he ran for office on the anti-KKK platform around the time South Texas was founded. He would also go on to vocally denounce desegregation and defend desegregation as the law of the land in 1950s, which, given his background, he was a vocal supporter of desegregation at that time, and he was willing to speak up about it, which was unusual. This was the early 50s. All of this is hard to imagine, but it's all true. These people and others like them seemed hardwired to help others in meaningful ways. When I learned all this, I was frankly humbled because I have done, readily and sadly admit, I've done nothing remotely comparable. But each and every one of you can. Houston Chronicle reported on Tuesday this week that Houston was the second fastest growing city in the U.S. in 2022. Guess what was going on 100 years ago? Houston was growing. Can Houston remain the energy capital of the world in whatever form that energy might take? I think it can, with your help. I'm proud to have this unique connection to this place. I'm proud to be here today. I'm stunned and awed by how much time and energy people spent in altruistic ways 100 years ago. These stories I'm telling you are not about people writing $25,000 checks to be in the platinum level of givers, right? These are people who are spending time and energy to make Houston a better place by educating others.